What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, Genesis of the Daleks. Yeah, this has been a pretty long awaited one. I think for a lot of people, I've seen a couple of people comment that they want to see this one get reviewed sooner than later. And also, just for me, this has been one that I've been wanting to review. Now, I have watched this before, quite a few times actually. It's probably one of my most, it's probably up there with my most watched classic story, along with the 5 Doctors. I think the 5 Doctors probably beats it, but this is definitely my second most watched classic story. So yeah, I was looking for, the reason why I didn't get onto it sooner, because I have had this DVD since I started properly collecting DVDs at the beginning of last year. I kind of wanted to watch the ones that I hadn't seen, and you know, other ones like that first. So I've just kind of got around now to thinking, you know what, I want to now watch Genesis of the Daleks, especially after just watching Resolution as well. I thought this would be a great time to look back on Genesis of the Daleks. So, looking at the back of the DVD, this is Genesis of the Daleks by Terry Nation. The Doctor's own people, the Time Lords, have foreseen a time in which the Daleks dominate all other life forms in the universe. So disturbing is this possibility that they break their own laws of time in an attempt to change the future, and who better to send on this quest than their renegade number, the Doctor? Unwillingly transported into the fields and trenches of a battle-exhausted Skaro, the Doctor must face his most dangerous mission ever, to prevent the Daleks from ever being created. So this is a very big story. I mean, if you're a Doctor Who fan of any kind, to be honest, I think even if you haven't watched a single classic series story, you at least know of Genesis of the Daleks, because it's such a big story. It is possibly, I think possibly the biggest story of the classic series. Possibly of all of Doctor Who. I mean, I think it's definitely the most talked about of the classic series. It's one of the best from what a lot of people say of the classic series. It's such a big story, and it's one that, like I said, I have seen before, and from what I remember, was pretty good, so I was excited to get into this. But anyway, let's start off with the cast. Alright, so let's start with Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor. This is the 4th Doctor's first series, Tom Baker's first series. Yeah, I mean, Tom Baker pretty much fit into the role straight away. But I think Genesis of the Daleks, honestly, from what I've seen at least, is one of his best performances. It's the 4th Doctor's first of 2 appearances with the Daleks, this one being, I think, quite a lot better than his second appearance. Yeah, Tom Baker on the whole is really good in this one. He has quite a lot of funny moments, but he also has a lot of serious moments. A lot of the moments where you can tell he's scared. Got my words muddled up there. And he just, you know, there's just so much emotion and just such great moments in this. And like I said, some funny moments as well. So yeah, Tom Baker really at his best, I'd say. You've got Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, who also is just amazing. I love her in this story. She's just so good. You know, she gets to go off and kind of be separate from the Doctor and Harry for the first couple of parts of the story, and I think that really does her a lot. And she gets plenty to do, and she's just great. I mean, I love Elizabeth Sladen. I love Sarah Jane Smith as a character. Yep, so that's all very good. And Ian Marter is Harry Sullivan. I do quite like Harry. He's actually, I've seen actually all of Harry apart from Revenge of the Cybermen. That's the only story out of his run that I haven't seen. Obviously, he only stayed around for Series 12 and then 1 episode of Series 13. It would have been nice to have him stay around longer, but I know why they got rid of him. Yeah, I really do like Ian Martin's a great actor, and Harry Sullivan is an awesome character. I suppose I'll also make mention of Michael Wisher as Davros. Of course, Michael Wisher, the original Davros. This is the first story of Davros. And I believe Michael Wisher was only Davros for this one. It then changed to, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but, you know, someone else for Resurrection. Then I think it changed into someone else after that. And then obviously the new series has someone else again. So, yeah, was it Terry Malloy that was in Resurrection? Terry Malloy was in one of them anyway. Yeah, but Michael Wisher, he's the original Davros, and I think arguably he's possibly the best Davros. I really like the new series Davros. Once again, I can't 100% remember what the actor's name is who plays Davros in the new series, but him and Michael Wisher are the best Davroses, I think. Just really good stuff, and obviously he started it off, so of course he's gonna do well. Alright, so let's get into the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The war between the Khalids and the Thals. Now I thought this was really interesting. Of course, back, I think it was mainly really in Planet of the Daleks, which is the only third Doctor Dalek story I've seen so far. We got to know about the Thals, that, you know, they're in a war with the Khalids, who are the human Daleks. They're kind of, you know, originally there was Khalids, which are more human. I mean, they're not human, but they're human looking. They got mutated and then turned into Daleks, basically. And I like how, you know, once again, this is the war. I mean, you know, Planet of the Daleks, it was kind of, the Thals were on another planet or whatever they were doing, and the war was kind of going on in the background, whereas here we're in the war. You know, this starts off with the Doctor, Sarah and Harry on a battlefield on Skaro, and it's just a really, really awesome, exciting start. Yeah, just I think that's really cool, seeing this war. Davros testing the Dalek gun I thought was really awesome. You know, that's really the first proper time we get to see Davros, and it's also the first time we see the Daleks in this episode. You know, he's testing the gun out, and he's like, the plan is everything he's going to plan, and then, you know, zooms in on the Dalek, and that's, I think, part 1's cliffhanger. Yeah, so really awesome stuff there. The sinisterness in Davros's voice is just amazing, and you can tell he's a maniac, but he's a great maniac. Sarah with the Thals, while the Doctor and Harry are with the Khalids. Yeah, like I said, Sarah Jane gets to go off and kind of do her own thing here, and I really appreciate that, you know. They end up, it's at the start, they get split up. The Doctor and Harry get captured by the Khalids, and then Sarah, I think she gets captured by the Thals, and she has to, you know, build that rocket and stuff. So I think that's really cool, you know, because the reason why they did that is so that we get both sides of the story. We get both sides of the war. We see what the Khalids are doing in the war. We see what the Thals are doing in the war. And I think that was such a good way to do that. I mean, it's you want to see the Doctor and Sarah Jane and Harry all together, but we get plenty of that later on, and that's great as well. I mean, let me just say that all 3 of the main cast in this are amazing, and when they're together, it's probably the best moments, other than the kind of Dr. Davros stuff, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I think, you know, having Sarah with the Thals was great. The scientist explaining how the Dalek mutants were created. You know, you've got that the initial scientist who doesn't like what's going on with the Daleks, so he's helping out the Doctor, and he kind of explains as to, you know, where these mutants came from, what happened to them. So I think that's really, really cool. Sarah climbing up the rocket, you know, when she's trying to escape from the Thals. That was a really intense scene, a really actiony scene. You know, all the people getting shot and dying and falling off the scaffolding. Really, really cool stuff. Just an exciting scene, and that's really what we want. The scientists not liking the idea of the Daleks, scientists. Yeah, a lot of the people towards the end of the story are like, yeah, we don't like what Davros is doing with these Daleks. We've not really got to destroy them, but we've got to change what he's doing with them. And I appreciate that, you know. I mean, because throughout this whole story, you have the Doctor who has kind of got this dilemma. He's like, do I just destroy the Daleks completely, or do I try and change the Daleks enough so that they're not as brutal and not as mean and evil as they are, you know? And I really like that throughout the story, you know, that is really, really good. The Doctor and Davros' conversations, I mean, one of the best things about the Doctor and Davros are the conversations. Pretty much, I'd say every Doctor that's been with Davros has had great moments. The ones that really stand out though for me are the 4th Doctor and Davros in Genesis, really, really good. I mean, you know, some great stuff there. The 10th Doctor and Davros in, like, Stolen Earth, Journey's End, and then the 12th Doctor and Davros in Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar. That's just amazing. I mean, it's so good there. But I think this is just as good. I think Tom Baker puts in an amazing performance, and of course Michael Wisher does as well. They're so different, but at the same time they feel so similar, and that's what I love about Davros. He's an evil bastard, but at the same time, you can kind of, there's something between him and the Doctor that it's kind of like these guys are actually more similar than they'd probably like to admit to each other, and the way that they just talk to each other, I think is really cool. The Doctor's "Do I Have the Right" speech, I mean, it's one of the, if not the most kind of impactful speeches, the most known speeches, at least from Classic Who. You know, do I have the right, do I have the right to kill this race who, you know, will kill millions of people, destroy millions of people's lives. Such a good speech, such an amazing speech. It's one of my favourite speeches in Doctor Who of all time. And then the Daleks turning on and killing Davros because he isn't a Dalek. I love that. I mean, to be fair, it was. I think I said in my Resurrection of the Daleks review that was the first time that this happened. I wasn't too sure about it at the time, and it had been a while since I'd watched Genesis, so of course I was wrong there. But this was the first time that the Daleks turned on Davros. I do think it was overdone. Now that I'm looking at it, Resurrection, yeah, they just basically did the same thing again, so it was overdone. But this is the first time it happens, and it makes sense, you know. Davros is so happy with what he's doing. He's like, I'm making these Daleks the supreme beings. They will kill anything. They will be the only things left in this universe. They will rule everyone. But he's gone too far with it, because now they don't reckon, you know, Davros isn't a Dalek. Davros is he's a Khaled, I believe, but he's not the mutant. He's not an actual Dalek. So the Daleks are now so hated. They hate everything so much that they hate Davros. Davros isn't a Dalek. He's not good enough. So let's kill him. And I think that's just such an awesome way to end this. It's the best ending they could have gone for here, and it just works so well. There's only really one bad thing I have to say about this episode, and it's not a big thing, it's just that this is a bit slow at times. Now that's kind of a thing that's a theme with classic Doctor Who, especially when you have a 6-part episode like this one is. They tend to be a little bit slow at places. I think episodes kind of 2 to midway through episodes 4, it's a bit slow, but it's still not slow enough that I get bored. I just kind of feel like this could go a little bit quicker, but I can't really take much away from it because there are other stories that I think do this much worse. You know, they're much slower. So for a 6-parter, you know, it's actually not the most action-packed story when you think about it, but there is some great moments in every episode, and you know, it keeps it going at a pretty good pace. So it's not really, it's more of a nitpick, I think, than anything, because it's not that bad. So a rating for Genesis of the Daleks. I mean, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I have to. The list of good things I've got here is massive. I think I've got 9 dot points of good stuff going on here, and then just the one bad point about it being a bit slow. But to be honest, that's very nitpicky, and honestly, it's not so slow that I get bored at any part through this story. I just feel like it could move quicker in some places. So yeah, a 10 out of 10, it's amazing. This could be my favourite story I've reviewed so far. I've currently got the Robots of Death at the top, followed by the Moonbase, I think, followed by Kaiser and Jazani. This is at least, I think, in the top 3 or 4. It's probably at the top. I mean, Genesis of the Daleks is, I think, the best Dalek story. Maybe there with Stolen Earth Journey's End, because I love that one, and even maybe Dalek. There's a lot of good Dalek stories, but it's definitely in the top 3, I'll say that. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.